civic engagement days. A lot of fun, great crowd. It's wonderful to see our young people getting involved and learning about government and about the legislative process. It's really great. Had a very productive discussion yesterday with President Cullerton talking about pensions. We went through in detail some of his ideas and recommendations. We talked a little bit about some of our ideas. I think we all have some concerns now with the Supreme Court's ruling about what's constitutional, and we got some concerns whether his ideas will work constitutionally. We got some concerns about whether our ideas will work, and we are feverishly endeavoring to come up with a solution that we have a high confidence level will pass constitutional muster, because we can't afford to spend years in court and end up with, like we did here, with no real change. We can't afford that. So we're working hard on it. Our team met again with Cullerton's team today, and we're going to push this possibility of getting real pension reform very hard. We got to get it done. We're also, that's our goal. We are also continuing to work in our various working groups. We're trying to get consensus on which issues we can bring into committees here in the last couple weeks of the session. It's obviously a broad reform agenda in combination with a balanced budget. We're all committed to having a balanced budget. We've got working groups dealing with both tax issues as well as budget issues, as well as workers' comp and tort reform, government reform, etc. We're making progress. It's not easy. We've got, some pretty heated conversations going on, but it's been pretty productive. And I continue to be cautiously optimistic. And my goal is to be able to come meet with all of you here in the not too distant future and walk you through some of the detail of where we're at. It's a little premature today, but in the very near future, I'd like to give you guys an update and we'll get into more specifics. But we're working it hard. We're making some progress.
So, Governor, do you comments mean that neither your pension proposal or Senator Cullerton's pension proposal should move forward? Is there a third option that you should be considering?
We are considering several options, some of which haven't been brought forward yet.
So then why have your administration testify on your pension bill yesterday? You have concerns about it now. Yesterday they said, oh, we think it's totally constitutional.
I hope and believe that our recommendation that we've had for a long, long time is constitutional. But when you look at the language, unfortunately their ruling was broad and tough and not crystal clear about what can change and what can't. I mean, it leaves open to doubt a number of different scenarios, and we've got to look at many options to try to come up with a handful that we pursue, I think, simultaneously. I think we were going to recommend we pursue several options simultaneously and see which ones end up flying and working, which ones not, because right now, really, it's not a clear roadmap at the moment.
You mean end up flying and getting to the court, and which ones the court will accept, or which ones could pass the General Assembly? When you say,
well, we're dealing with which ones will pass the General Assembly right now. The criterion ought to be which ones do we think can actually pass the court later on too. So it's both hurdles.
Also, Speaker Madigan bringing right-to-work legislation for a vote today. Is that premature? What does that say?
Yeah, it's just difficult negotiations in government often involve political theater. That's a little bit of what that is.
But are you insulted at all that he keeps putting these things on the board ostensibly to kind of embarrass you a little bit?
I don't take it that way. I mean, this is just part of a political process. We're working together, and we'll get through it.
How much are you and your team, talking to Republican legislators, saying, "Hey, I need you to stick with me on this"? How much pressure is it in terms of a visible vote of how your right-to-work plan stands? They're getting pressure from unions.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of pressure from all the special interest groups that don't want to change. We know we need to have big change. We need big change. Where our taxes keep going up, we're not getting value. We know we're not competitive. We've lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs in Illinois the last 15 years. We are in a long, slow decline, and we'll never fund our pensions or fund our schools unless we're growing. And we need to grow pretty strongly. That's what our changes and our turnaround agenda are about. And we are encouraging the Republicans to stay strong together. We can have more influence in the process. We're a super minority. To have more influence in the process, we need to stay unified, and that's a message. I've been saying that for the entire process. That's important.
Are you asking too much of lawmakers? Is your package just too big to pass?
No, I don't think so at all. They pass 600 bills a year, and we're going to ask for passing 8 or 9. It's very doable, and everything can still get done by May 31st. We have taken a number of things off the table, and I'm not ready to tell you which ones yet, but we will shortly. But we've taken a number of things off the table. This is all part of a negotiation and a compromise. Everybody's going to have to compromise.
What changes would you accept to the income tax? Rich Miller suggests that maybe you're willing to go up to 4.5%, 4.75%.
I don't know what Rich Miller thinks about taxes, but it's premature for us to talk about specifics on tax policy. We do have folks reviewing our tax code. We need to raise enough revenue that we can fund the key essentials of government, but we also need the tax code to be competitive and allow us to grow. Right now we're not growing, and we need a tax code that is pro-growth.
But when some lawmakers say that you're taking boardroom tactics to the dome, do you feel like these negotiations with working groups, do you feel like it is a different type of mentality than you're used to in the business world?
Well, the process is obviously very different because we have to develop a consensus. Nothing can move forward unless there's bipartisan solution. And, you don't have that in business. You don't have that same dynamic. But in terms of bringing a process, my process is all about good communication. I've tried to stay open. That's why the reason I've had so many meals with the legislators. I got to know most of them really well personally. I've developed some good friendships on both sides of the aisle. And it's all about just working together and finding compromise. It's hard. People are stressed right now. It's a stressful time. I mean, we don't have a lot of time. We have to make big decisions. The state is in dire financial straits. Chicago is in, big challenges. And everybody's a little bit on edge because tough decisions, no easy decisions. So it's natural for some people to occasionally sound off or air their frustration or whatever. But my view, I've told everybody, stay calm, take a deep breath. We'll get through it. Let's keep good hearts and good faith. Let's respect each other's point of view. We're going to disagree sometimes, but let's also stay open-minded to some compromises, things that we don't want to do. Everybody in the process is going to have to do some things they don't want to do.
Governor, what do you think of this idea? Saying that you're not being transparent. You promised transparency during the campaign, and this whole process isn't transparent and not how government's supposed to be run.
Well, see, I don't control 100% of the process. I control what comes out of our office and what we say, and I don't think I could be more transparent. I mean, our budget was out early. Our turnaround agenda is out early. I've laid out everything we're working on and why, and I think we couldn't be more crystal clear from our point of view. In terms of what the legislature has been willing to talk about and take positions on, I can't control that. And, it's some parts of it have become public and a lot of it hasn't been. So we're doing the best we can. I believe that we'll be able to come forward with a lot of detail in the not too distant future.
What do you think of this idea of laying off all state employees? As somebody from the Illinois Policy Institute wrote in the Tribune, and are you still donating to the Policy Institute? Is that realistic?
I don't know. Somebody told me that they wrote something about that. I don't know. I can't comment on that. That sounds a little, I don't know. I can't even comment on that. I used to donate to them. I haven't done it in quite a while, not since really getting into office.
What can you say to state employees, though, that are really worried about the possibility of a strike already? Negotiations are ongoing. Clearly, we got this right to work vote. Should they be concerned that could come to a head, layoffs or a strike?
Well, I don't know. Hopefully not. We're going to negotiate in good faith. We've got to make some big changes. Changes are hard, and there's going to be a lot of resistance to change, but we have to change the fundamental cost of government. I believe we should have a different compensation structure. I'd like to be able to pay people more, but I'd like to be based on productivity and saving taxpayer money, not just only on seniority. So we're going to have some tough discussions, but I want everybody who works in government to have a great career. I want them to be well compensated. I want them to have a great retirement. But we need a system that's affordable and also incentivizes everybody to save taxpayer money because the tax burden on our citizens is too high already.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.